He could be the next congressman from the 1st Congressional District in the state of Oregon. Rob Cornilles running against the Democrat in the race, the woman who's married to David Wu's attorney and has been helping to cover for David Wu for years. In fact, you know what I need to do? I need to play the David Wu song. Yeah. I know Rob Cornilles has nothing to do with David Wu, except trying to run against him. But you know what? We need to keep people in the right mindset. And that is, David Wu was a waste of space for 14 years. We've paid the price. Do we really want to send a clone back to Washington, D.C. like that? No! That's why I'm going to, when I get a moment, play my song. Rob Cornilles on the Victoria Taft Show. Welcome back. How are you?
I'm well. Good afternoon and Merry Christmas.
Hey, listen, I heard you on Hugh Hewitt the other day on our sister station, 1550. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, he was very generous and gave me some time to talk about what we're suffering from here in Oregon, and rallied a lot of support from around the country for us. Everyone's watching this thing. It's the first election of 2012.
It's a big deal. It is a big deal, and we really need to fight harder, and I think people need to get more tuned in. I know that ballots are going to drop before we know it, and what is it, January 13th, you say?
Yes, that's what I understand.
So they're going to drop on the 13th, and what that means is you need to know how you're going to vote before then, because we want you to get your ballot back in. We want you to vote for Rob Cornilles, because this Democrat stuff, nobody listening, the intels of the world supporting, this empty suit that's been there 14 years. I mean, that just cannot stand. We need somebody who's going to be there and, you know what, listen to everybody in that district, not just to one side, which is what David Wu's been doing for 14 years.
Yeah, and I would say, too, Victoria, even your listeners who can't vote for me because they either live out of the district or they're not from Chicago, so they actually only vote in their own district. Even those people, I would say, if they can help us get elected, then I'll vote for them when I'm in Congress, because we need people who represent our values, our principles, and what we stand for. And that's why, even though this is only a district-wide race, we have people all over the state showing interest in this. They're helping us through volunteering, making phone calls, walking our precincts, certainly making contributions. There's a lot of things we can all do to pull together, because this is one we've got to get.
We do. We really have to fight for it. And it's just that this race, I know for you, has been all gears down, everybody ready to go for a very long time. But for the rest of this first CD and rest of those throughout the state, it's just a real quiet time. And I don't like this quietude at all. At all.
You know, I think it's the only place it's not quiet is the negative campaigning and the attack ads. Mm-hmm. The Democrats from Washington, D.C. are throwing at me, and people are obviously hearing about those. They're spending $1 million just to attack me and my record as a job creator and the things that our business has done around the country, even around the world. I think, though, the people that I'm visiting with and the people that are getting in touch with our campaign, they're really expressing just how sick and tired and fed up they are of politics as usual, that the elite political class in Portland are trying to determine this election, not to mention the people back in Washington, D.C. And you look at my opponent, and as you mentioned, she was part of the establishment that for a long time didn't want us to know the truth about David Wu. And this election is not about him, but it's about her judgment versus my judgment. Mm-hmm. And her loyalty to a party and to the people that prop her up versus my loyalty to a people that have been largely unrepresented for far too long in this state. And I need people's help so that we don't let people outside of Oregon determine our elections anymore.
Well, I couldn't agree more. I mean, Earl Blumenauer won't listen to me, and Peter DeFazio won't listen to me.
And Earl Blumenauer won't run with me. I invited him for a run several weeks ago because I know he likes to run. I like to run. I thought, what a great chance for us to get to know each other. And He blew me off.
Well, he blows everybody off. He thinks he's the smartest guy in the room, and he doesn't think that he needs to listen to anybody, and that's the way he's been through it his whole career. And that's the problem. That we don't get any conservatives get no representation around in this area of the state. None. And it's a travesty. Can you imagine if you went to Congress and then blew off the Democrats? That would just be Well, first of all, they have everybody to represent them, but nevertheless, I mean, if you decided that, well, you know what, I'm sorry, I'm just not going to listen to you people. You don't reflect my values. I don't listen to you. And I mean, you'd be run out of town on a rail.
Well, you're absolutely right, and this is why I've tried to express throughout my campaign that, I'm a lifetime Republican. I'm proud to be a Republican. There are times when the Republican Party has disappointed me. But at the same time, I'm not running for just a party, and if I'm elected, I'm not just representing a party. I'm representing a very diverse group, a very diverse district in the Portland region out to the coast and down south to Yamhill County. And for far too long, we were tired with the 99% voting record of David Wu with his own party. Now we've got the same thing in their next candidate. She votes 98% of the time with the majority of her party in Salem. And the other 2% that she's not voting with her party, it's not because she's voting for Republicans. She's voting with even further left of her own party. I mean, even Ted Ferrioli, who's the Senate leader for the Republican Party in Salem, he only votes 75% of the time with his party. I mean, that just shows how partisan she is, how committed she is to represent one side. And that is not serving our state well. It's not serving our district well. And we're seeing the results of it with this high unemployment that just continues to go on year after year, with the poverty level, with the child hunger that's going on in our state, with people unable to pay for their mortgage, not to mention their kids' education. I mean, if we continue to send the same people back to Congress like we've been doing, why should we expect any kind of different result for this state?
Mm-hmm. Well, I couldn't agree more. And let me ask you this. You came out, I think, last week after the op-ed piece in the Wall Street Journal came out with Paul Ryan and Ron Wyden's comments about plans for Medicare and what they wanted to do. And you actually felt that was a pretty darn good idea.
I did, and I do. And they have not submitted specific language for a bill, but they have submitted a paper that they call the concept. And the concept, to me, is really a hybrid approach to make sure that we can secure and save Medicare for the long term, not to mention today's seniors, of course. And I was never in favor of a private-only plan. I was certainly not in favor of just the status quo, leaving things the way they are, because Medicare would not be sustainable. It would go bankrupt in the next 12 to 14 years. Mm-hmm. So I like the fact that our own Senator Wyden, who I don't always agree with, as you know, but in this case, I give him props because he reached across the aisle. I give props to Congressman Ryan for doing the same thing and saying, you know what, we both have strong opinions, we both have strong beliefs, but if we could perhaps create a hybrid approach, we might come up with something that in a bipartisan fashion can move forward in Congress and give our seniors and our future seniors some certainty and some stability in their health care. And so I applaud that. That's what we don't see enough of in Congress today, and that's why people are so fed up, and that's why they're so disgusted. In fact, they're certainly uncertain as to what the future holds.
You know, I got to tell you, Rob, this Congress has really disappointed me, and not because I think there's a place for gridlock. And I just get sick and tired of the way it's being framed, frankly, in the media as well as other things. I mean, you want to talk about a do-nothing Congress. These people have not had a budget in it's been about 1,000 days. And I got to say, we're continuing to do continuing resolutions and spending even more money without keeping our eye on the ultimate budget deal. And this is what Harry Reid's plan is. As a member of Congress, I know what Suzanne Bonamici's going to go do. She's going to go say, well, whatever you say, leadership. What was Rob Cornilles going to do? You going to stand with John Boehner and say, oh, heck no, tech no? We don't want to have another CR? What are you going to do about that?
It goes back to your earlier statement. I can't be just a button pusher for party leadership. Because if I am, then I'll be totally ineffective, and I won't be a true representative. So the fact that we've got a Congress, as you said, that hasn't passed a budget, it's specifically the Senate. Let's give credit where credit's due. The U.S. Senate has not passed a budget for, I think it's close to 970 days. You mentioned 1,000. It's somewhere in that period.
It's getting there.
And the fact that we have these CRs, these continuing resolutions, the fact that even right now, we're talking about tax policy for 60 days. and then changing it again in February. I mean, this is ridiculous.
I know it's just kicking the can down the road. I know Boehner said that on Meet the Press yesterday. He kept referring to it. In fact, he said it so many times I almost had somebody make a montage out of it for me because it was just like, oh. But the thing is that now today, here's the way it's being reported. You have Harry Reid saying, absolutely not. We are not going to go for another year budget. And we are just going to do something till February, and we're going to leave it there. It's being framed in the media as, the recalcitrant Republicans refuse to go along with a continuing resolution to help pay for the budget. And all Boehner's saying, we want a budget. Let's do a budget instead of a 2-month long nothing burger. We
also want certainty as much as we can provide. I mean, I've been complaining throughout the whole campaign that I'm proposing that we go back and make a complete overhaul of our tax code and our tax system, and my opponent never even talks about it because I guess she is satisfied with just giving the American people, American business, just a 60-day window, and no one operates this way. You can't hire long term if you don't know what the tax implications are. A year down the road, certainly. 5 years down the road is even more helpful. So it demonstrates that Congress is being run by lawyers, not by people who know how to actually create a job and hire people. And because lawyers just like to go from billing period to billing period. Excuse me, all of you lawyers who are listening right now. I'm not beating all of you up, but I'm beating up the ones in Congress. But real job creators, people who actually want to invest, who want to, hire and produce more goods and services, who want to buy equipment, make capital improvements, they can't operate if they don't know what their tax obligations are 60 days down the road, let alone 12 months down the road.
It is ridiculous. It is ridiculous. Well, I hope that Pete Sessions and the NRCC are going to come in and give you something or give you at least a lot of advice on what to do, because we need to have a person who's not just another empty suit in that office. It's been wasted long enough, 14 years. And Rob Cornilles, I hope you're elected.
Thank you, Victoria. I appreciate your help. I appreciate the help of your listeners, many of them are supporters of mine. And
send money.
Send money. Give us your time. If you've got relatives this Christmas season that you just wish weren't there as long, send them to our campaign headquarters. We'll put them to work for you. Cornillesforcongress.com.
Got it. Thanks, Rob. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Take care.